Hello vinyl freaks, it's the Danish record hunter here, and this is gonna be my third video about sensory system. The first two videos I talked about, the first one is about the singles and then the second about the debut album right here, and that was like the band's heavy rock period. This third video with the band's second album, it's a bit different. They mellowed out a bit, and I know that lots of fans, people that knows about the band, they don't like this at all. And it took me some years to finally go out and buy the record myself. It took me some years to prepare myself for the shock of listening to something that would be garbage. Was it really that bad? And I bought the record, and it's right here. This is definitely not the masterpiece that is the debut record by Sensory System, but it's not that bad. This is actually okay. So Sensory System, What We Are is the title. So let's dig into the story of this album.
Over the times we spent loving in the song. Can you not tell me that it meant nothing? Can you just turn away and run?
This is like, it's actually shockingly mellow when you consider what the band they did beforehand. But the thing was that the first album by Sensory System was recorded in 1972 and was first released in 1974, and this album is from 1975. So in those years the band, they really changed their sound, and I'm not really sure if it was the band themselves that wanted to do something different, or if it was the label. Now the band, they had signed up with EMI again on this record, the ones that issued their debut single from 1973. And as you could hear in the song that I chose to represent the album in the intro, this is like, the album is very soft. It's kind of soft rock with lots of ballads and lush string work, and that's what you will hear on this album. But there's also some other moments that is more similar to the more commercial funky tracks on the first album or the singles. Also, the band featured two new members. Let's see, here's Helge Solberg. He's the band's new bassist. He's actually from Norway. And then we also have the second guitarist, Mikael Brun. He's right here. Mikael Brun, he actually had an interesting story, because he started out in this progressive rock band that was called Thor's Hammer, and they actually released an album, I think in 1970 or 1971. It's an early one, and it's very, very good and very, very expensive. And then he started another band, was called Anaconda. They issued a 7-inch, I have that in my collection. And also he ended up playing in a band. Actually, Thor's Hammer is pretty much the band that became Anaconda and then Tyggegummibanden. But yes, this was also recorded in Hamburg, and it was mixed by Achim Reichel, if I pronounce his name correctly. Also, another funny fact is the conductor, I think, of the string work, or I don't know exactly, but he is credited as the conductor. It's actually the keyboard player called Peter Hecht. And if you're a fan of Lucifer's Friend, you know who Peter Hecht is. So I think that's very it's interesting. And also the horn section, the brass section that is featured here on the album is actually the one I think James Last's orchestra. And you know, Lucifer's Friend had also some connection to James Last Orchestra because some of the members, you know, performed in James Last. So Peter Hegg, yeah, he was the conductor. He doesn't really feature on the album, I think, with anything else than conducting, but it's just a funny fact. When this album was released, it was on EMI at home in Denmark, but it was also put out in Germany on Nova, like the debut album. And that means that the album was again put out as by System in Germany. And from, you know, the producer team and where it was recorded and everything, like the last names of two of the members, you know, the guitarist Jørgen Werner and the drummer René Wulff. If you don't know about this band, you may think they are German. So there's actually this documentary on YouTube, which is called Record Safari. It's a very good documentary. But the guy who is in this documentary, he actually goes to a record store in the US and he finds the German print of this album on Nova. He finds it and he shows it to the camera, and very shortly he says, "Oh, and here's some krautrock." But that's not completely true. It's not krautrock. Musically, this is not krautrock, and also it was a Danish band. But people may have been misled by, you know, the label and the people that was working on the album. But it's just a funny fact. But anyway, let's get to the highlights of the album.
Tell the truth until it hurts. Turn the cards up on the tables. The hollow habits of their words.
So this is probably the heaviest track of the record. It's actually the one that ends the album. But the guitar work here is very tasty, and I really like the harmonies created by Michael Brun and Jørgen Werner. That really makes this track something else on this record. It's not that it's a masterpiece in any way, or that it is even up there with the material of the first album, but I like this track when I hear it. So there is also some hidden gems on this album, because this album features some funkier tracks that oozes of swagger, and one of them is Mike the Moneymaker, and I really like this one, so check it out.
Guitar, but he said his name is Mike the Moneymaker. He knows you are impressed by all that you hear. Well, she's the faker.
So following the release of the album, the band didn't last for long, and they dissolved. I know for a fact that the American vocalist Brian Philip, he has said in an interview that when they were touring Europe and they came back again, and he came back to Copenhagen to his, I think, wife at the time, and his daughter, who was only, she may have been a year old or something. And after touring, his daughter couldn't recognize him. He kind of sat down and kind of reflected on his life and what he should be. So he stopped singing and playing in bands. and he focused on his family life and cut his hair. So that's pretty much his story. I know that he actually in his later years he has begun to write songs again, but this is more mellow stuff. It's nothing like Sensory System. It's more like singer-songwriter stuff. So he's out there again in recent times. Some of the other members, they kind of disappeared from the music scene. I don't remember that I've seen Jan Werner, guitarist or phenomenal guitar hero of the band. I don't remember seeing his name on other releases in the 70s. I may be wrong, but he kind of just disappeared as well. Helge Solberg, he went on to some other stuff, more poppy stuff if I remember correctly. Michael Brun, actually, he went on to perform in Tyggegummi-banden and also in a kind of jazz fusion band called Heavy Joker. He was there as well. But the guy from the band who had the most, interesting career afterwards, it's the drummer René Wulff. Every band needs a drummer. He joined Barbarella. So he replaced Terje Barnholt in Barbarella after they released their debut album. So he didn't appear on an album by Barbarella, but he was in a band at the same time as the guitarist who was called Ivan Horn. And the band Barbarella at the time, they actually featured on the first record by Charlatangruppen. And I think that led to them also joining C.V. Jørgensen's solo band, which was called the Ganske Lille Band at the time. So he featured on 3 albums with C.V. Jørgensen, which is just very, very good Danish rock albums. He had a very, very awesome career in the 70s, and he is one of the absolute best drummers that we had. So that's pretty much everything that I have to say about Sensory System. A cool band with one masterpiece of an album, and then a bit mellower one. A bit, that's not the right word. It's a lot more mellow, but it's not bad. It's not like that the songs, they sound like this, it's well written, it's tasty, maybe a little bit too tasty for some. It's not an album that I play a lot myself, but when I put it on, I'm not disgusted. I can say that. It's okay pop rock, soft rock, and whatever. I've heard worse, much worse. So they did a great job doing that kind of music themselves. So please, if you like what you heard, press like, subscribe, and check out all my other videos coming your way. So please, peace out and take care. See you next time.
Between us nothing more than what they call a masterwork of paradoxes. So